Hello everyone. In this series we pick a present-day issue and discuss it from a globally agile view. If you want to drill down into what we mean by that, please watch this video on recontextualization. Today we're going to discuss peer nations. I heard the phrase the other day, peer nations, and as in countries where we can learn lessons because they do something well, better than how we do it. And oddly enough, this is the first time I'd heard the expression peer nations. And I asked myself, why? You know, we all start off as young children just becoming aware that we're from somewhere. And it takes a little while before we realize that there are other somewheres, places you can go and or learn about how they do things there. And I think it's often a question of pride or of a national team sport mentality, or even of ideas that become like ideologies like free markets or superpower exceptionalism, that become attitudes that seem to separate us from useful global examples and a better life. The question is, why might we think that learning from other countries is a weakness? What do we do when we see another country doing something well, better than how we do it? Being shown up is one thing, but isn't sticking to a second-rate way of doing things worse? So, you've traveled outward into the world, and you're traveling back home armed with an idea, a suggestion, and some enthusiasm. You have to remember that not everyone knows there are other places or about other places. Remember that the idea might seem foreign to them, foreign in the pejorative sense. In a very real sense, we are talking about things that are in a lot of people's blind spot. And if you do get a discussion started with people, they might be comfortable and inert with the status quo. They might have vested interest. Remember that explaining an idea that came from a foreign context is going to be difficult, and that interpreting it into the context of the people you're speaking with is also going to be extremely difficult. To do that, you'll have to have had good discussions in the country where you found the idea, and now you're going to have very good discussions in the country where you want to introduce the idea. If you are getting into these types of discussions, we have an excellent cross-cultural communications training tool called Global Disc. But you might say, folks, maybe we could adopt a little bit of this. Here's what they said about why it worked for them. How do you think it might work for us? It seems like a tall order, but it's worth it. There are many different ways of doing anything. Here's an example. The Cuban medical system is based on preventative health care. They know they can't afford to treat advanced stages of illness, so they try to nip them in the bud. Now, I'm deliberately using a Cuban example because given the history of Cuban-U.S. relations, you might not be inclined to take a lesson from them. But that's one of the things about global agility. It's like diplomacy. Diplomacy is not so much about talking to your allies. Diplomacy is designed to help you speak with people who are not your allies. And to be fair, you might be over-inclined to follow a Cuban example. Neither extreme is useful. It's the kind of 20th century baggage that you really can't carry with you into the 21st century. An instructive idea is an instructive idea no matter where you find it. And a bad idea is a bad idea no matter where you find it, even if you've been doing it for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Objectively, though, Cuba has succeeded in exporting medical care and medical staff to a lot of poor countries for decades. The suggestion would be to incorporate some of what they do into our healthcare system. And you know that would be a really long discussion. But saving money and getting good healthcare results is the goal, no? Now there. That's how I tried to take a present-day issue and discuss it from a globally agile view.